I'm doing a video today about linking two air compressors together to get some more airflow to run higher air consumption type tools. This is a question that usually comes up not by pre-planning, but it's more by happenstance. So linking multiple compressors together is something you can easily plumb together, and you can easily wire things together, and it's much more common in larger industrial scale air systems. But for a homeowner grade, that question does come up usually. Like in my case, I've had an air compressor for a number of years, still works, but I upgraded to a better one. And you know what? If you already have two air compressors that work, why not link them together to get more capacity? So I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick overview of the two air compressor I have and what my goals are for this little project. So this is my newest air compressor. This is my primary air compressor. This is a Husky brand from Home Depot, 20-gallon silent air compressor. It's rated at 4.0 CFM at 90 PSI. And the tank itself is rated for 165 PSI. I don't want to run two air compressors all the time, only in certain circumstances. So whatever modifications I make to allow a second air compressor to plumb into it, I want this to still function perfectly as a standalone air compressor. And this is my old air compressor. I used this for many years, but this is a Kobalt brand from Lowe's. This is an 8-gallon tank rated at 150 PSI, and this is also rated at 4.0 CFM at 90 PSI. Now what I'd like to do is make this also function as a standalone air compressor. So I don't want to start modifying fittings where if I take off a hose, it starts leaking air out. So I do want to maintain the use of quick couplers on both of the air compressors. So what are some of those circumstances that I might use two air compressors? I've got a variety of air tools, and I also primarily use battery electric for a lot of things, but there's some things that I find air tools are just more convenient or get better performance out of. A 3-inch cutoff tool, it's nice for a condensed down form factor to cut things off. And I can run this pretty well to cut off small things like clamps or bolts and studs with the 20-gallon air compressor. But if I was doing a long sheet metal cut, I would want to do both of the compressors together. General air blowing, no problem. I don't need two air compressors for that. An air hammer. This could run on a standalone air compressor if I was just going to, say, pop a ball joint out. But if I was doing a demo job where I was chipping up tile or something, then two air compressors plumbed together might be convenient. Impact wrench, and these are nice compared to battery electric just because the form factor. This has a lot of torque and a small form factor, so I like air. This can run on a standalone air compressor. It's intermittent use where you're kind of doing one lug nut at a time. You're not really holding the trigger down and just letting it go. When you get into die grinders, these will consume a lot of air, and that's because you're normally just pulling the triggers down and you're grinding things for a long period of time, and so this will consume air very quickly. General tire inflation and blowing up athletic ball things and beach balls and things like that, you don't need two air compressors. So really it's just for those specific kind of niche jobs where I'm doing really sheet metal fabrication, where I really would like to kind of turbo boost the air supplies to keep things running for a little bit longer. So before I get into the details of how I'm specifically going to plumb them together, I want to talk very briefly, high level, about an air compressor in general and how it works, because there's really several different components on an air compressor. One is the pump. The pump is what's pushing in the air. So this is the pump assembly. And so there's an air intake that's these black air filter canisters on each side. There's an electric motor that's spinning up a pump, and it's just pushing air. So this pump specifically is just pushing all of that air down to this braided hose, which is going straight into the tank. The tank is just a storage vessel to hold the air. And so in the same port, you also have this copper tube, which is going into kind of the switch assembly. And this is basically part of the control system. So it'll fill the tank up until it hits 165 PSI, and then it just shuts the switch off. It's a pressure switch is all it is. But then you see this rubber hose. And so this is going up, and this is going into the regulator. The regulator is on the back side of this instrument panel, but this just allows you to step down your air supply. So you may have 165 PSI in the tank, but your tool may only require 40 PSI. For instance, if it's a paint sprayer. If you put too much pressure through a paint sprayer, you're just gonna kind of obliterate your paint spray pattern, and it's not gonna work very well. So this allows you to adjust it with a knob and say 165 in the tank, but by the time it gets to your tool, it's at a lower value. So I only say this because it's important to understand the concept in an air compressor setup, the difference between unregulated tank air versus post-regulator regulated air supply. I don't want to just hook up a hose into the existing outlet couplers and try and push air backwards through the regulator. I want to try and push air into one of these unregulated ports. So something down here, or what I have my eye on is this port right here, which is just a plug right now, but it's on the unregulated side. It is before the air gets to the regulator. So if I use my other air compressor to push air in through this port, it's going to be pushing air into the tank. And then that way, all of the air is still going to be gathering in this tank and going out through the normal regulated system. So on the booster compressor side is what I'll call this. I'm basically keeping it like a normal air compressor. I just have a normal quick coupler on the normal regulated output. So when I'm going to use this as a booster compressor, I'm just going to make sure that I turn the regulator knob wide open. So basically nothing's getting stepped down. This 155 PSI, 8 gallons is going to be pumped right into the 20 gallons at 165 PSI. Now, one other thing that kind of makes it a challenge is this tank is rated at 155 PSI max, whereas my Husky is rated at 165 PSI max. That's close enough where it's not like this tank is going to explode if I fill it with 165 PSI. But I would like to try and keep this proper so that the smaller air compressor stays at 150 PSI, and the 165 PSI from there is not being pumped into here. So realistically, that's what I want, because I want this to be a helper compressor. I don't want it to be an equal back and forth where I could use either one. I'm going to use this as the primary unit. All of my tools and my hose reels are hooked up to the big one. I just want this to be an extra boost of air going into the tank. So this port uses a 6mm Allen key. So I've got an Allen socket and a little breaker bar that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to take this port out. Definitely have an Allen socket. A regular like Allen wrench, not gonna work too well. That was tight, or it had some type of thread locker in it, but the socket got this removed pretty easily with the right tools. So this is a one-way check valve that I got for about $8. It's got an arrow on it, which shows the direction of the airflow. So I plan on using this to install into this port so that way air can go in. But because the pressure in here will be 165 PSI and it'll be fighting against the 150 in the smaller air compressor, it'll prevent air from flowing this way. So basically the small air compressor is only going to end up turning on once this tank gets depleted below 150. The 150 PSI air in the helper tank is going to rush in to fill this with an extra 8 gallons of air essentially. And if I keep drawing both tanks down, then both compressors will kick on. I also have some pipe thread sealant, which I've been using lately on air fittings. Teflon tape is common as well, but I find that that can sometimes leak a little bit more. This fitting actually came with some thread sealant already on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just thread this in with a deep well socket. And I'm going to put this type of coupler. This is a type V fitting, so it's a high flow fitting, but I'm going to put this type of coupler on it. Now normally this would not prevent air from coming out the side of this port, but since I have a check valve, when I disconnect the hose from this port right here, it's okay. The check valve is going to hold the air back, so I don't need an actual coupler on it. So it looks like this socket that it needs is a 9/16, but your mileage may vary depending on what type of fitting you get. Now, I am never any good with judging when to stop threading in fittings. You don't need them that tight, you just need them tight enough to not leak air. So if they do start leaking air, then you can do a little bit more. And I've got some decent sealed thread sealant engagement, and maybe like one little snug. I don't want to strip threads or anything. So I'll just go ahead and use a little bit of this thread sealant around the edges of these threads. Looks like this fitting is a 16mm socket that'll go over it. So I'm just going to snug it up. And I think that looks pretty good, and I'll wipe up some of this extra sealant and then I'll check for leaks. So one other thing to note is the electrical supply that each compressor is going to require. If you have one circuit in your entire garage and both of your compressors kick on at the same time, that could cause, a power surge. It could end up tripping a breaker. In this case, this is about 12 amps, and my other one is also about 12 amps. That being said, I have two dedicated 20 amp circuits in my garage, plus I have a third circuit that's 15 amp and it has multiple general receptacles on it. So as long as I have them on different breakers, it doesn't really matter to me if one clicks on at the same time. It's not going to dim my lights. They're on separate circuits. It shouldn't be a problem. That being said, it is something to be aware of if you only have one circuit in your garage and you might not be able to power two air compressors. So I put 25 PSI in the tank. So you can see soapy water just kind of dripping off here. If it was actually leaking, you'd see like a series of bubbles shooting out of the seams. So that tells me that both of those fittings are sealing properly and not leaking air. I can go ahead and actually, while I got the soapy water out, I can check the backs of all of my other couplers. And they should be good. And I don't see any air leakage coming from any of the joints. I will say too, if you do use thread sealant, make sure that you look at the curing instructions. In my case, the pipe sealant that I use is good basically for immediate service on low pressure applications, which 165 PSI is considered low pressure. You're not getting into like high pressure steam or gas pipes, things like that. So now that I have my fitting and my one-way check valve in place, I just have a small jumper hose with regular quick couplers on it. And I'm going to hook up the regulated output onto my 8-gallon air compressor, but I'm going to have the regulator wide open. And this quick coupler, I'm going to connect on here. There it goes. So now I'm going to turn both air compressors on, and then I'll come back and I'll test with the tool. So here's just a good demonstration of what I wanted to do. Both tanks are fully charged, and I didn't want to get into a situation where I take a coupler off and it just starts spewing air out the side. So that's why the one-way check valve comes into play here. I can pop the line off. That's still 150 PSI. I can put the line back on. That drops out 165 PSI was only in the tank, so 155 PSI in this hose and in this tank. And both compressors are still standalone. And both of them are good to go. So we're gonna do a little test with one by itself and then one with both and see how they do. The actual capacity is not where I think it's gonna shine. If I keep cutting past the time where the compressor turns on, the tool can still deplete the tank faster than the pump can recharge it. So I think having a second pump will allow me to be able to run more steady state with both pumps running and actually cut longer even though the compressors will be on. Hopefully it will keep the blade spinning fast enough to make cuts even if the compressor is still pushing air. So that's what I'm going to test here with a piece of 1/8" sheet metal. I've made this cut before using just the 20-gallon air compressor and just the 8-gallon air compressor. So this will be the experiment of both compressors linked together. So I'm going to go ahead and make this cut. Make sure you're using your PPE. Air compressors, especially my old one, is extremely loud. I'm going to watch the clock before I get started. And last time I cut this with just the 20-gallon, I had 2 full deep cycles where I had to wait for the air compressor to fully build back up because it was stalling the blade. So I'm hoping that I'll just never get into the blade stalling point. I can kind of run steady state continuously as long as I just let the compressor run. So let's do this. Alright, so I have to get the official time clock as how long it took me to do this once I edit the video. I will say though that blade was stalling out a little bit, but it wasn't to the point where I had to really wait for it to completely build up pressure again. I basically held the trigger down the entire time. I did take a minute and look at the gauges just when I'm holding this wide open. And with both compressors linked together, holding it wide open, it did create a floor of about 75 PSI. So the tank did not get below 75 PSI, and thus pretty much tool pressure did not get below 75. So this can run something like this pretty much continuously. Isn't necessarily the best tool for the job. You know, I've got corded and cordless angle grinders that can cut this off probably pretty quicker. But I wanted to do something that would be challenging for the air compressor and see if having both of them linked together actually made any noticeable difference. So I think this is something that, for as cheap and as easy as it was an $8 fitting plus a 8-foot long remnant hose from Harbor Freight and a couple couplers, maybe 30 bucks altogether. I just went ahead and decided to go ahead and give it a try. And in certain circumstances, like I said, in a continuous runtime tool where a single air compressor is going to be tough, this just gives it a little bit of an extra turbo boost, if you will. So this was my project for today. Like and subscribe if you enjoy the content of these videos. Comment below with questions or suggestions for future videos. Thanks for watching.